infected will not survive what is to come.
There's a bigger baddie out there. No, man. No, man. Ladies and gentlemen, here I am in Arcadia. I am in Hamburg right now for the Race to World First. No doubt you already know that if you've been following anything or Twitter, but it is sick. I'm in my own little streaming booth, which is like facing the reception where people get to watch me, and I have my badge that says talent, see? Proven talent. I wanted to catch up with you guys because this, although I've been talking on stream for many hours, there's just so much going on that I wanted to get a little deeper into that's not really relevant for the world first race, but overall it is cool. This place they've put us up is going to be, and it's not officially open yet, we're in a place that's just not open, but it's going to be the biggest esports location in Europe. It's a full old school hotel that has like 3 floors of private gaming boot camps for esports teams and casual players and all that kind of stuff. It has a ton of facilities downstairs, like VR and all that kind of stuff. But when you go up, it just gets more and more serious, and all the pro teams are starting to move here because they can house them. The upper 4 floors are all rooms where people get to sleep and the whole team can stay together and live and breathe what they're doing. So this is no doubt going to be one of the top training facilities in the world very shortly where we are. It's really cool. In terms of the coverage of that, I'm currently playing Endwalker during the days. I'm going through the Endwalker story, then I'm casting the Race to World First afterwards, so I'm getting the best of both worlds for me, and getting to actually sink in and see the boys again. 2 years it's been. 2 years since I've been able to actually be part of the Race to World First. Not that I wasn't asked, I was asked, but the online events, they just don't have that magic. For me, anyway. For what they want from me, they want me to do, to be a great caster, and I try so hard to be as good as I can be. But I don't feel that sat at home or sat in the office doing it and then, going home and being a family man or doing something else beforehand and just dropping in and then dropping back out again. You really do need to live and breathe it. What we did get to organize, though, was, and something I recommend to all you guys, is a meetup of all the guild. We had that over the weekend, as many people as possible who could afford to just randomly come to Hamburg. We had about 30 plus people just drop in, have a big party, and getting to meet everybody, and finally them seeing, like, when you have the IRL meet, it just strengthens that connection between guilds and free companies so much in order to build on that community, because you have friends, you have stories to share that you did IRL. Like, we played ping pong with MDI champions and things like that. So going over to the WoW stuff, the Race to World First is proceeding in the most absurd fashion ever. Everything we know about the Race to World First has been shaken up and changed. Blizzard really going out of their way. And it looks like the death of the Shadowlands might lead to a really quality raid. Obviously, we have no facts on this, but it does look like essentially a patch was cut from the Shadowlands in order to bring it to an end. And that we do have a combination of bosses from potentially 2 different raids that have been amalgamated. It feels that way because we have so many difficult bosses in a row. It feels like a lot of end bosses, the most creative ones, the Among Us mechanics and things like that, that are showing their face, and ultimately we'll get to see the jailer. But having everything that's ordinarily planned for the Race to World First just completely thrown out the window, such as when they break to gear up, or how difficult it's going to be, or when we're going to see the really hard bosses, is just out of the window. And we've got Vansis runes being popped for Boss 7, which is mad. We're at more pulls on Boss 7. You can see I've been talking a lot, my voice is dying. For this than we've had for any mythic boss at all in the entirety of Shadowlands, which is just insanity. So it's been really fun. It's been really fun. But a lot of the questions that people have had is like, is there anything that's like tempts you to play again? Not cover it again. I'm still standing by that. I don't want to be covering the PTRs anymore. I don't want to do that stuff. I don't think the game will change even remotely enough to tempt me back to like full-time coverage. I highly doubt that. But I did definitely want to go raiding again, like I did in the last tier. I know people still have great difficulty with this, even after we've clarified it, is even after I stopped covering WoW, I continued to play it. I was very open about that. Of course I did. This is a game I've been in love with for like well over a decade, so absolutely that. I do intend to go and do Heroic at some point with the boys to check out this raid. Not Mythic. there's always that talk of getting the band back together, and Alex is here, who was my former raid leader and guild master, Fat Boss Alex, and even he's had a little bit of temptation. Is like, do we get the old boys back together? Do we do something? Seems very, very, very unlikely. I know from your guys' perspective, it'd be like, are you doing videos again? No. But if whether or not we decide to go mythic raiding again, I don't know, maybe. But it's very, very unlikely. I can see it as always, these things are always like a little hop in the pan type of idea, and then it kind of wanes off very quickly. So I can see that happening. And plus, it's about my expectations for 10.0. What are they doing? What I have seen from Blizzard, like especially talking with the really still WoW diehard guys who are like WoW and only WoW here, is that they have relaxed heavily their mandatory stuff. What I really love to see is the combination of ideas that's of, yes, reducing the mandatory stuff, but also looking to create a fun experience. And I still think that's a little lacking with Zereth Mortis from what I've seen. I mean, I've literally been watching people play it and talking through it about what's going on. It's very similar to everything we saw in the past, just less mandatory to get involved, which is a step in the right direction, but not still a really fun experience, at least for me, in my eyes. Like, what are you tempting people in to create this as a fun place to be without forcing them to be there? And I would really, really hope to see 10.0 focuses on that, as well as bringing things back down to earth. But that's something we've talked about, is this idea of them bringing it back to Azeroth, exploring what should be going on there, especially because I'm so... Now I've had my eyes opened a lot to what MMO storytelling can be with FF14. That's the biggest gift it's given me, is understanding what MMO storytelling can be. I don't expect them to go all that way. That would be crazy and probably be off-putting to a lot of World of Warcraft players if they went that heavily into it. But improvements and baby steps can lead to a much, much better experience. And so what I want to see in 10.0 is bringing it back down to Azeroth, exploring the Sargeras sword, exploring the actual world that we live in, and reacquainting ourselves with our foundations a little bit, because it's all got so wacky. However, the Jailer end cutscene, it doesn't seem to indicate that so far in terms of where the storytelling and the world building is going to go in 10.0, because the Jailer cutscene was... I think they did him dirty, honestly. The more we've talked about it, it's more like the Jailer got part of his story cut, not that he had a good story going on. And I can talk about this kind of openly, is I've seen a lot of people say to me, he only had one expansion to really do something with the Jailer, so it's not really fair. And I just say, Emmett Selk. Now, if you don't know Emmett Selk, it's one of the villains from FF14, who, again, only had one expansion, but it's outrageous how different it is. Like, outrageous how much you care about that character, to the point that people love that character. Despite him being a villain, they create a villain with an interesting point that you could understand, and you could sympathize with his plight, despite the fact, you know, he's the turbo villain, very similar to the Jailer, very similar actions, really, but the purpose, and you felt for that guy, like, despite how horrible he was, you felt for him, you understood where he was coming from, all these kind of things. And that's the comparison you're looking to with a character that only has one expansion to make himself known, is you go, well, Emmett Selk, Elidibus, right? These are the characters that only had that. Even Fandaniel doesn't have long, but already is one of those characters. So they did him dirty, unfortunately. And then there's this proposition of another big bad, an even greater threat is coming. Always bigger and bigger and bigger, where it doesn't always need to be bigger and bigger and bigger. And a lot of times it can be something more insidious, something more internal, something more poisonous, and something more interesting. So I hope they go that direction. Doesn't seem like they are, which is a little bit of a shame. But if they do, I'll obviously be keeping my eye on it. That's what I'd say, because it's something I want to have happen. It's just to keep my eye on it, see what they're doing, pay attention to how Microsoft influences it, if at all, and how the changes in the corporate structure following all the recent events have altered their design point of view, because they still seem very stuck on giving a, you know, kind of really want to push people to log in every single day and have something to do. It does feel like the remaining WoW player base probably enjoys that quite a lot, whereas I don't. I don't. I take weekends off from FF14, essentially, whenever I feel like it. So we'll wait and see on that one. But those are my thoughts right now. What I want to do is I'm going to garner more interest from the guys and see what's going on there. But I want to know. I want to learn as much as I can always. But to anybody hoping that being at the Race to World First would be like, it's back to WoW. No, I'm here because I love it and I obviously understand it and I'm deeply invested in it. And that's why I'm here, and I love it so much. So we'll see what 10.0 offers. All right, guys? Bye-bye.